Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. I am so happy that you are here. If you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah. I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. And before we get started, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. We also upload the video version onto YouTube on Fridays as well. So make sure you are subscribed. And with that being said, you guys, happy Friday. I hope you've had a great week so far. And if you haven't, guess what? It's Friday. It's the weekend. You made it. Happy Friday, you guys. I know me personally, I am so excited for this weekend. It is currently Tuesday when I am filming this, but I am so excited for the weekend. And I will tell you why. It is because I have absolutely nothing planned. And do you know how exciting that sounds right now? I cannot wait to have a Sunday reset. I cannot wait to sit on my couch and rot and watch The Real Housewives of Orange County. I cannot wait to not do a single thing. Do you know how exciting that sounds? Do you know how enjoyable that sounds? I am thrilled. Couldn't be more thrilled. Couldn't be more excited. I cannot wait. I feel like I'm at this point in my life where, which I do want to mention, I saw this thing on TikTok. And I know you should not be taking really any sort of advice off of TikTok, let alone medical advice or medical information. However, what I saw on TikTok was that sometime around like 26, 27, 28, the frontal cortex develops, or like the frontal lobe develops. I thought that that was only in guys, but apparently according to this TikTok, and now that I'm saying this out loud, I feel like this sounds so freaking stupid, but according to this TikTok, they were saying that your frontal cortex or frontal lobe develops and it's kind of like shifts your behavior, like that your priorities kind of change a little bit, or, you know, what you deem as like fun changes a little bit. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now. And whether that is because my frontal cortex is developing or it's because it's summer and I tend to hibernate in the summer. I know it's very different from a lot of people. A lot of people like to go out, enjoy the weather, look at the sunshine. I do not. I like to stay home under a blanket in the darkness. That is what I like. And then I come out in the winter. Once the temperature drops below 70, I'm all there. Count me in. But until then, you'll find me on the couch, door locked, do not enter. I don't want to talk to anyone. But I don't know what it is. I feel like, so I don't know which category we're looking at as the reason for this, but either way, I have not wanted to, go out to a little dinner or like go grab a cute little cocktail. None of that sounds enjoyable to me. None of it. And I'm not going to apologize for it. So don't make me. Anyways, I'm really excited to do nothing this weekend, and whatever you end up doing this weekend, I hope is incredibly fun and enjoyable, and I hope you take some time for yourself this weekend as well. But I am so excited today because we are back with another one of my favorite segments, which is, as you can tell, a What Would Sav Do? I love a What Would Sav Do? I feel like I don't even need to preface it anymore. I feel like I don't need to explain to you what a What Would Sav Do is, but I'm going to anyways. A What Would Sav Do is when you guys tell me, Sav, hey, hi, hello, what it is that's going on in your life, what's bothering you, what's bugging you, what you're dealing with. And that is when I tell you what I, again, Sav, would do in said situation. I'm not saying you should follow my advice. I'm just saying this is what I would do if I were you. So if you want to be a part of the next What Would Sav Do, make sure you go ahead and follow the My Thoughts Exactly Instagram page. It's just at My Thoughts Exactly podcast. It's where we post everything in terms of like episodes that you guys want to see. What would Sav do? Some popular opinions, questions that you have. It's all on that page. So make sure you go follow it. That way you're always up to date with what we have going on the podcast. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into the What Would Sav Do's. I asked you guys last week to send in your submissions. And then I also asked you guys again last night, just in case there were any little hiccups that happened over the weekend that you wanted to get off your chest. So we're going to start with the ones from last week, and then we'll move chronologically up to the ones from last night. First one, I started dating my high school crush and it all went great, but after hooking up, his text got dry. What would Sav do? Okay. My question here is, when you say dating, what do you mean? Do you mean boyfriend, girlfriend? Do you mean talking? Do you mean exclusive? Because I think those all carry different weight, and it depends, like it really varies. If you guys are boyfriend, girlfriend, and that's what's happening right now, break up with him. If you guys are talking, I would stop talking to him. If you are exclusive, I would probably distance, and I will tell you why. So I guess the answer is really all the same here. However, I think it does vary depending on what stage you're in the relationship. But I'm going to tell you why I would distance myself. I don't think that the behavior that is being exhibited right now, the distance that he is given or the lack of effort that he is given, is a quality that you would want in a long-term partner. You don't want someone, or I would think that you would not want someone who is making you sit there and question things, making you sit there and overthink, making you wonder what could have possibly gone wrong, making you have to question even yourself sometimes. You don't want to be with someone who is making you feel the way that you're feeling right now. And I think a lot of times when we have some sort of a history with someone, you're saying it's your high school crush, we tend to look at it with like rose-colored glasses, and we kind of like fantasize about this like all American, especially a high school crush, like the all American, like, high school sweetheart type of ordeal. But I think that in reality, we have to kind of take the glasses off in this situation and look at it for what it is. And I just want you to ask yourself, are these the qualities of someone that you want to be with? Do you want to be with someone where after you hook up with them, the effort is no longer there? It shouldn't matter how many times you hook up with someone. It could be 0, it could be 5, it could be 500. The effort should be the same. And if that's not there, I encourage you to ask yourself, is this the type of person that I want to be with? Someone who is making me question everything and making me question myself, making me question, everything leading up until this point. And I do want to take a moment because I feel like I've been in this situation multiple times where we all know I'm a chronic overthinker, but I've been in this situation before, and I tend to look at myself and I tend to be like, what did I do wrong? What happened? What did I say? What did I do? What was it? Where was the moment? And I try and dissect every little thing, and I overthink and I overanalyze. I encourage you not to do that. It's really easy to do that, and I don't fault you if you already have, but do not look at yourself and think that you are the one that's in the wrong here or that you are the problem here. This behavior that he's exhibiting is like very much childish, amateur, little boy behavior. And we want a man. We want someone who is mature and grown and actually acts like someone that you would want to be with, and it is someone that you would want to be with at the end of the day. So don't look at yourself and start to wonder what it is that you did wrong, because I can assure you, you did absolutely nothing wrong. If I were you, I would distance yourself purely based off of the fact that you shouldn't want to be with someone who is taking away effort because they hooked up with you. Like, that's just the math isn't mathing there. And I think that maybe if that is what he's doing and he feels like, he, for lack of a better term, got what he wanted out of the situation and moved on, that's a really shitty thing for him to do. And it sucks that that is the behavior and kind of what it seems to be like he's exhibiting. But I think it's important to take this and move forward and understand that you did nothing wrong in the situation. And for him to sit there and make you feel like this is just really shitty thing for him to do. And you deserve someone who's not going to make you feel like that, and you're going to find it. So I wouldn't stress too much about it because, again, you did absolutely nothing wrong here. And this is just a product of his shitty behavior, and you deserve to find someone who doesn't treat you like this and doesn't make you feel like this, and you will. Okay, moving on. My situationship of almost a year now. Oh, sorry. Situationship of almost a year now because of his job and bad timing. He's a deputy. Do I stay and wait? I'm going to say no. And I will tell you why. I think that, in my own personal opinion, my own personal belief of just like life in general, is that if you're meant to be with someone, you will be with them no matter what. And it doesn't matter about distance. It doesn't matter about timing. It doesn't matter about, work, jobs, all of the things that can get in the way. If you are meant to be with someone, you will be with them, whether that's right now or whether that's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever it is. I think by staying and waiting it out and sitting in this limbo of this situationship, no one wants to be in a situationship, no one. And by sitting in this limbo and waiting it out, I feel like you are doing yourself a disservice. I feel like you could potentially be limiting yourself from other opportunities that are out there or meeting different people that are out there because you are always going to have him in the back of your mind because you're considering him and his feelings, because you are wondering if you need to wait it out and see how things can progress between the two of you and staying and waiting. But I don't think that that is in the long run beneficial for you. And I don't think that that's in your best interest. I think that what would be in your best interest is having a conversation and being like, listen, as much as I want to be with you, this just logistically isn't working out right now. And down the line, if it does, that would be great. If we're both single and it makes more sense for us, then that would be amazing. But right now, that just doesn't seem to be the reality. and I want to be friends and I want to, continue to talk or whatever, but I am going to, I'm not going to sit around and wait for the hope that we could potentially be together in the future when it's not even a definite. I just think that you would be doing yourself a disservice by staying back and waiting. And I have been in that situation many times where I have sat back and I've waited and I've twiddled my thumbs and been like, okay, like I'm just going to wait. And hopefully, this turns out in my favor and hopefully we can be together. And I wish I could go back in those instances and shake myself or stop myself and be like, wake up, because this is not what you think it is. And so I really just think that it's in your best interest to move on and move forward with your life. And if you're meant to be together, you will be, and have some peace knowing that. What would Sav do when people don't appreciate you, but then want to come back when you've moved on? This is just the funny part about life. I think that I think every single instance where I have moved on from someone or have removed myself from a situation because I don't feel appreciated or I feel like I am not being treated the way that I deserve to be treated, they always come back. We've said it before, we will say it again. They will always come back. It does not matter the situation, the circumstance, they will always come back. I don't think I've ever had someone not come back in my past. And I think that what's important to remember in the moment is that doesn't mean that they've changed. Them coming back and realizing that you were actually, great, or, that you actually offered a lot more to them that they realized in the moment. That's nice. Thanks for realizing it, but it's too late. I think that we can sit here and overthink the situation. Oh, should we give them another chance? Oh, should we see if maybe this time they've learned their lesson? I feel like every time I have done that in the past, it has never served me well. I feel like I'm really only doing it because it's like more for them and less for me. It's always when I have moved on and I've like started fresh with my life, or I'm able to move on without them and live happily, where I feel like they creep up and they always know. It's like they have a sixth freaking sense. I swear to God. They always know. It's like, oh, they've moved on. It's time to bug them again. And they do it every single time. I don't think that it's ever really, in my personal experience, I can tell you it's never worked out where I have, had to remove myself from a situation because I wasn't being treated well or I wasn't being appreciated, and that person comes back, I give them another chance, and then they automatically, change everything. In the beginning, it's great, right? In the beginning, it's great because, oh, this is great again, and we're doing this again, and it's fresh and exciting and all the things. But then over time, that comfortability creeps back in and they start treating you the same way. That appreciation is gone again. And so I just think personally, I would not give them the benefit of the doubt. I think that if you're not being appreciated, that's like a core thing. That is one of the basics of a relationship, whether that be friendship, romantic relationship. You need to have respect. That mutual appreciation needs to be there. And if it's not, then what really is the basis of anything else in the relationship? Because obviously there's other things. There's trust, there's several other characteristics that are important too, but to have basic respect and appreciation for one another, if that's not there, then what is? And so I don't know if that can be built. I don't know if you can build without having that. And so for me, I would not give them the benefit of the doubt, and I would continue to move on. And it sucks that that's, how things have to play out. And some people they don't realize what they lost until they lose you. But sometimes that's just what has to happen, and it sucks. I'm starting over. New friends, new job, new everything. Tips, what would Sav do? I would say, first of all, this is very exciting. I know it's intimidating and I know it's a lot of change and I know it's scary, but it's also incredibly exciting. How many times in your life are you going to be able to look back and say, oh, I completely started over. I have a new job, a new, new friends, new city, whatever it is. That is such an exciting thing because you're working with a blank canvas. And I know that, again, it can be very intimidating. It can be very scary, and it can be filled with a lot of unknowns and what ifs. But I encourage you to switch the perspective and look at it as a positive. You now have the ability to create the life, like whatever life you want. You can completely reinvent yourself, and you are going to evolve so much because of this. Find the new spots that you want to find, whether that's new coffee shops, new restaurants. I always encourage Bumble BFF. stuff, for finding new friends as an adult. I think it's a great tool. A new job, that's always exciting. I think that this is a really exciting time in your life. And I think that you need to remind yourself that there might be moments where it's challenging. There might be moments where it feels really overwhelming and like it's too much to bear. But in those times, I encourage you to just slow down and allow yourself to feel those feelings and not try and rush through them, and just acknowledge them for what they are and be like, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, and that's okay, because that is going to happen. It would honestly be strange if you didn't feel overwhelmed at certain points. That I would be more concerned about. If you were like, nope, I don't, it doesn't faze me at all. This is a big life change, but again, it's exciting. And I think that you need to remind yourself that your life is about to take a turn. And even though you don't know what's on the other side of the door, there are so many amazing opportunities for you on that other side. When I moved out to Nashville, I did not have a single friend. I did not know anyone. And somehow it turned out that I met a great group of friends, and I met my boyfriend, and now I live in a house with a dog and doing the whole thing. And it is truly, when I moved here, I did not know what my life was going to look like, but I'm so excited I made that leap and I made that jump, because it was absolutely, pivotal for my growth just as a human. And I think you're going to grow so much because of this. And there's so many exciting things lying ahead. So even though it is going to be overwhelming at times, remind yourself of all the positives and remind yourself that you can do it. I think there were moments where I would sit there at night when I first moved and I was like, what did I just do? I remember when I first moved into my apartment, and my dad helped me move in, and my dad left. And I think I had a couch at that point, maybe mattress on the floor. And I was like, what did I just do? Moved like almost across the country, California to Tennessee. And I was like, what on earth did I just do? And I started really getting in my head about it. And I started really thinking, like, within the first 2 months, I was like, I think I need to go back. I think I made the wrong decision. And I started getting really overwhelmed. But little did I know, like 2 weeks later, I met Hayden, and the universe has a funny way of working things out like that. And so I just would say, trust the process, have faith that it's all going to work out, and allow yourself to feel all of the feelings that are going to come, because they're so normal, but you are going to find your way. My best friend added my ex to her close friends story. She doesn't even have me on it. That's a problem. That's weird. That's very, very odd behavior, and I would call her out on it. If my best friend had my ex on her close friends, regardless if I'm on it or not, I would be like, that's strange. Why are you doing that? That is weird behavior. I would call her out on it. Why wouldn't we call her out on it? Call her out on it. That's ridiculous. It would be one thing if it was like maybe a friend group and it was a girl that were kind of mutuals with, but not really. But if it's your best friend and she has your ex on her ex on her close friends, regardless if you're on it or not, again, I don't think that that even matters. The fact that your ex is on her close friends, that's weird behavior, and I would call it out right then and there. What would Sav do if you wanted to do fun fall things? What are your recommendations? Oh, okay. So I love fall. I've talked about this so many times. I love fall so much. It makes me so happy. My favorite things to do in the fall, I love a good pumpkin patch. Love it. Truthfully, okay, I don't like watching football at all. I could not care any less, if I'm being so for real and honest, but I love the vibes that a football game brings. I love, putting out all the fun snacks and like football themed hors d'oeuvres and drinks, and like having friends over and watching a football game and being in sweatshirts and everyone's cozy. I love that. I also love a fun little bonfire night. That's so fun in like fall. I think that that's amazing. Another one, apple picking. I haven't been apple picking here, but I've heard that there's great apple picking. Also, if you like baking, fall is an amazing time to bake. Do you know how many pumpkin things that you can bake for fall? Like pumpkin bread. I make this pumpkin bread every year. It's so good. It's pumpkin bread with chocolate chips in it. And I know it sounds kind of weird. It is so good. I promise you, if you like chocolate and you like pumpkin, 10 out of 10. Also, there's different like fun pies that you can make: pumpkin pie, apple pie. Baking in the fall is so much fun. I highly recommend it. What else could you do? I would encourage you to look into your town and wherever you're living because a lot of times there'll be like fun little fairs and fall festivities that go on in your town, regardless of where you're living. So I would definitely recommend looking into that. Really look to social media too, because there's so many fun things out there. I always scroll through Instagram. Like Hayden and I send each other things back and forth. Actually, I think, I need to find it. I will probably post it onto the My Thoughts Exactly Instagram actually, and it will be a fall bucket list. I think it was either me and Hayden that sent it to each other or me and my friend Kristen sent it to each other. I'm going to find it and I'm going to post it on the My Thoughts Exactly Instagram page. That way you guys can take a screenshot of it and have fun ideas for fall. There was like a bunch of ideas on there, and me and I think it was Kristen were saying that we were going to do all of the fun fall things. So I highly, highly recommend that you go and follow the Instagram page. That way you can keep up with that. My friend told me yesterday that she found out that she's pregnant, which is awesome. I'm also pregnant, 10 weeks, and haven't told many people yet. So when she told me, I was excited and shared that I'm also expecting. She didn't even say, oh my God, or have any reaction. She just continued about her and her expectations. I'm very excited for her, and I didn't want to take from her excitement, but we aren't but aren't friends supposed to be excited that they're pregnant at the same time? I asked her a lot of questions because I'm really emotional and excited. She's always wanted to be a mom, but I wasn't even asked how far along I am or when I found out. I even gave it a couple days in case she was just very excited, but it's like I never even told her. What should I do? P.S. For context, she's a very negative person typically who makes most of the conversation about her, so this isn't out of character. First of all, congratulations. I am so excited for you. This is such an amazing and exciting time. And I'm really sorry that you did not get the reaction or the response from a friend that you would hope, because you're right. Out of a friendship, I can't imagine going into a situation if my friend told me that she was expecting or pregnant and I happened to be at the same time, where that wouldn't be like a mutual exchange of excitement. Again, I haven't been pregnant. I don't really know exactly how that works, but I can only imagine that that is a really, really exciting thing to share amongst friends. And if two friends are pregnant at the same time, you always see those TikToks and those Instagram videos of friends sharing that they're pregnant at the same time. And it's this big celebration and it's so awesome. So I'm really sorry that you did not get that same sort of reaction out of a friend, especially when you were so excited for her. I think that that's very, very unfortunate and honestly, like not the best out of a friend. You said that for context, she's a negative person and makes most things about her. So this isn't really out of character. So what I will say is I do think that maybe this is one of those things where even though it's a really hard pill to swallow, I think you should ask yourself, is this a type of friendship that you want to continue? Not only because of this instance in particular, but if she's a negative person and really seems to only make everything about herself, are those the qualities that you want in a friend? Now, does that mean that you have to drop her completely? No, but maybe distancing yourself so that you can, focus on yourself and your future and friends that actually do share that same excitement for you. Maybe that's what's in your best interest. If I were you, I would distance myself from her because that's a really hurtful thing. And I can totally understand why you're feeling that hurt. And I think that I would feel the exact same way too. For her to not ask any questions about anything in regards to your pregnancy, I think that that is, it's, in my opinion, it is pretty selfish because I think that, you can still be excited for yourself and want to talk all about, your own experience. But I think that when it's supposed to be an exchange is what I'm trying to get at. And so for me personally, I would pull back. I would distance myself from her. And if she does ask, like, what's going on, or, why are you not talking to me, or I feel it's distant, or this is weird, or whatever, I would just simply say, listen, I'm so excited for you. And I'm really, rooting for you and your family. And I'm so excited that for this next step in your future. But personally, my feelings were hurt when I also shared that I was also pregnant and you didn't seem to care. And that was hurtful for me and it hurt my feelings. And because of that, I just kind of distanced myself. I would be very honest about that if that's the reaction she gives you. If she doesn't and she just doesn't say anything and she doesn't reach out, I think that you have your answer as to whether or not this is really a good friend and someone that you want involved in your life. I think that with this new stage of your life of being a mom and moving on to the next chapter, I think that you really need to prioritize who's going to be there for you. And if this person isn't, then that probably isn't someone that you're going to want in your life. I think that it's really important to surround yourself with positive people, especially during this time. And if she's not offering that, then I think that you need to make the decision and, decide whether or not she's someone that is worthy of being in your life. But again, very excited for you and congratulations. That's amazing. Me and my future sister in law, we're marrying twin brothers, don't get along. I find it hard to be cordial sometimes. What would Sav do? In laws stuff is always weird. It is always, it tends to be weird. I feel like when you have great in laws, it's great. And then when you don't and you have some tension, it's always obviously very uncomfortable because this is technically family now and things just get weird. I think there's obviously probably some competition too when it comes to twin brothers, and that whole dynamic I'm sure is weird. If I were you, I would just continue being the bigger person. Just show up with a smile, kill her with kindness, let her have nothing to say. And that has kind of been like my motto moving forward, unless too many buttons are pushed, and until there's a line, there is a line, but until that line gets reached, I think that I would not give her any fuel, if that makes sense, to be able to use against you. And I'm not saying that you have, I'm sure you have not, but also I would just show up with a smile, be very nice, be very cordial, be very happy, and just be yourself, but also don't engage in her drama. If she has an issue, let her have an issue and let her have her issue by herself and let it be something that she deals with. And if she wants to talk to you about it, great. If she doesn't, not your problem. If she has a problem with you, that's her own problem. And I think that moving forward, you should just, again, kill her with kindness. And until that line gets crossed, you can deal with it then. But until then, I wouldn't give it the time of day because that's stupid petty drama. Like what are you going to do at the end of the day, And if she wants to be mad, let her be mad. It just sounds miserable. I started a new job last month and I hate it. I got a new and better offer to go elsewhere, but I'm scared to tell my team. Okay. I can completely understand the anxiety around having to tell someone, news like that. However, I want to encourage you to not be scared because you are currently at a stage in your life where you are unhappy and you have an opportunity to go elsewhere where you are. And at the end of the day, business is business. And these people that you're working with now, if they had the opportunity to go at like a better job or to do something that made them happier, they would also do that. So don't feel bad about like the decision that you're making for yourself because ultimately you're making the right decision for you and everyone else who is also, just in business in general and working and, everyone who's in that world also understands that and they would do the same exact thing. So don't feel pressure thinking that like no one's going to understand because they will. They would have done the same exact thing if it were them, and you need to do what's best for you in this situation. And what's best for you is not staying where you're unhappy. And you have the opportunity to change that. And I think that that's what you should focus on and be excited for that new opportunity. What would Sav do if you just don't think you will ever get married? This is very interesting because I used to be like this up until I met Hayden. And really, it wasn't even till probably a year ago where I changed my perspective. Growing up, I always felt like I was never going to get married. And then I think that my fear of thinking that I was never going to get married, I just kind of not projected, but I switched the narrative and I was like, oh, well, then I don't want to be married. Like, I don't want that. And me saying that was not because that's what I actually wanted. I didn't want to never be married. I was just afraid that I never was going to. So it was easier for me to beat them to the punch rather than feeling like I was never going to get married, which, first of all, I want to just say, as a blanket statement, if you don't want to get married, that is totally fine. Whatever you decide to do in this life is your prerogative. Do whatever makes you happy. If you want to get married, be married. If you don't. But I do remember thinking in life multiple times, I'm never going to get married because I'm having all these horrible dating experiences. I'm never going to find the one. I'm never going to be able to get in a committed, serious relationship because no one actually likes me. Like it was just a spiral that I kept, I was just a repeating cycle that I had over and over in my head. And it was an internal dialogue that I was having. And it honestly made me really scared because it just made me unsure about what my future was going to look like. And then I will say the moment I finally let go of control and was just like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Immediately, that is when things fell into place. And not to say that that's everyone's experience, but I do really think that we hold on so tightly to these expectations of what we think our life is supposed to look like. And we never know how things are going to play out. And, I think we really need to have a little bit of faith that things are going to happen the way that they need to and the way that they're supposed to. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh, like I'm never going to get married because, no one that I'm dating is serious about me or no one seemed to actually like me for me, it's just because you haven't met the right one yet. If you want to get married and you want that, type of relationship and marriage and you want that in your future, you will find that. That will happen for you. It will. And I think that when you have so many bad experiences, it's really easy to be like, oh, this is just never going to happen for me. Like, I can't even imagine that this is going to happen for me. But I promise you, if that's what you want out of life, like that will happen for you and you will have that. And I think that it's really important to remember that there's still time. It doesn't matter what stage or age you are in life for that to happen. It could be next year, it could be in 5 years. You don't know. But at the same time, if that's what you're looking for and you continue to date and you continue to, weed out the people that are not a fit for you, you are going to find someone. And I think that that was something that I couldn't really grasp at the time. I was like, I'm never going to find someone who wants that. And because of that, I started convincing myself that I didn't want it, even though I really did. It was like this whole internal battle and this internal struggle. But once I let go of the expectations of like, I need to find someone and I need to like, want them to like, or I would need them to want me and I need them to, want to see a future with me. It was so much work and so much effort. Once I just let go of the expectation and was like free of it, it was so liberating and it truly made everything fall into place because everyone's got a plan for them in their life and everyone has a path that is meant for them and everything is going to fall into place regardless of what we try to control in our life or not. And that's kind of, we've talked about control on this podcast before and how we can try and control so many things in our life so heavily and we can hold on so tight because we want a certain thing, whether that's a job, a relationship, a friendship, a city, a house, whatever. But things are ultimately going to play out how they are going to play out, regardless of how you try to control them. So instead of worrying that you're never going to get married, just start saying that you will. It really is a mindset thing. And I think that once you start saying, if this is what you want, and I'm assuming it is based off of the question, instead of saying to yourself, I just don't think I'm ever going to get married, I don't think it's going to happen for me, start speaking it more positively into the universe. It is going to happen for me. When it's my time, it's going to happen for me. It is. It's going to happen for me. Because why can't it happen for you? Why can't you have that happy ending if that's what you want? Why can't you have that future if that's what you want? Just start speaking more positively about it. Let go of the control. And I promise you things are going to fall into place the way that they're supposed to. And I know that that might not be the answer you want to hear because we want more concrete and, finite things that we're able to, and more tangible things that we're able to grasp on. Like, when is it going to happen? And, why hasn't it happened yet? Those are the answers that we don't have. And those are the things that we can't really grasp onto, but it's because better things are coming in the future. You just haven't gotten there yet, but you will. What would Sav do if your sister-in-law's boyfriend seems to be flirting with you? Again, with the in-laws, we are going crazy with the in-laws this episode. I would say I would have a conversation with whoever you're married to, and I would have them kind of oversee what you're talking about, oversee what you're perceiving as flirting. And if they agree, then I would have them tell the sister-in-law, because I think that that is important. I think that when you start, telling the sister, then things get a little bit complicated. I think that if you really feel like he's flirting with you and you're uncomfortable by it and you think that she needs to know, I would tell the person that you're married to, I would tell your partner, I would have them kind of oversee and make their, judgment and assessment too. Or even, regardless of what they end up coming to terms with and what they see, I think it's important for whoever you're married to have that conversation with your sister-in-law, because I think that that's like a sibling thing. And I think that that bond is really strong. And I think that if there's a conversation that needs to be had, it is between those two. I feel very unhappy with the repetitive feeling of life. I need some change, but I don't know how. This is very interesting because if you watched the most recent vlog that I posted, I had a very similar feeling, which was I felt like it was like a late night thoughts. I sat down and I was just chit chatting with you guys and I was saying that I was just feeling a little bit unfulfilled. I felt like there was something missing in life. I felt like I needed some sort of a change, but I didn't know what it was. And I didn't want to come across as ungrateful or unhappy because there's so many things in life right now that I am grateful and happy about. And I'm excited for the future, but I just felt a little bit unfulfilled. And why I'm saying that is because I can totally understand and relate to the feeling that you're feeling right now. I would say if I were you, I would do things to spice up your daily routine. And that is one aspect of it. If you constantly go to the same coffee shop, go to a different one. If you make coffee at home, treat yourself to going to coffee, one day a week. Try out a new restaurant or a new recipe at home. Have a fun, spontaneous date night. Go for a long car ride at night just to split things up and play your favorite music and blast it and just go. Spice up the daily routine a little bit and then also add in some like a new hobby, trying something different, whether that's a paint and sip art class, whether that's a pottery class, whether that's a new workout class, whether that is, the options are endless there. I would look at some of the different clubs and like Facebook groups and stuff for your city. There are outlets out there, and I think that sometimes we get so caught up in our daily mundane life that we forget that that exists. And it's easy to, not seek out those resources for a multitude of reasons. But when you are feeling like you need some sort of a change, that is what I would recommend doing. And I also just want to say, I think that the feeling is so normal. I know for me personally, when I was feeling like it, I told you guys in the vlog, I applied to be a foster dog parent. I haven't actually really gone through with the logistics of it yet, just because I'm trying to figure out if this is actually something that I feel like would be a good fit for me. But I was like, yeah, I just need something else. So I did that. Or I, was thinking of, there's a couple different things that I have on my list and I can make a whole other episode about this, but needless to say, point being is that there are other resources out there and sometimes we need to utilize them. And the feeling of this is very normal. It's very normal to feel like you need some sort of change. You need to spice things up. You need some sort of, reset to kind of get that fulfillment that you're looking for. And understand that these feelings also come in waves and it will pass and you will get that fulfillment is what I'm trying to say. Okay, now we have a couple longer questions. Hi, Sav. This is for the What Would Sav Do question box, but it didn't have enough space. I was talking to this guy for about 8 months. We were consistently hanging out. I was sleeping over at his house consistently, met his parents. We went on vacations, and I ended up losing my virginity to him at 24. He told me he didn't want a relationship, but also told me multiple times that if he did, he would make me his girlfriend. About 6 months in, I found out he was starting to hang out with other girls while talking to me, and now just a few weeks ago, he reconnected with his ex and has been hanging out with her since pretty consistently and have been told by his friends that he's working on things with his ex. This is the ex he had broken up with a month before we met because he was cheating on her. I'm just really heartbroken right now and struggling a lot. Love you. First of all, I love you too. Second of all, I'm really sorry that you're feeling like this and I'm sorry that you're feeling heartbroken, and I can totally understand, what you're going through and in a weird and different way. But I can understand the same feelings of what you're dealing with. And again, I think that this also circles back around to the first question that we did in this episode, which is you do not want to be with someone like this. Just big sister advice. You do not want to be with someone like this. First of all, he cheated on his ex that he met or that he was with before he met you. And that's why they broke up. He's now, hanging out with her again. He, strung you along for 8 months saying that, oh, I don't want a girlfriend right now, but if I did, it would be you. And, playing the what if game. This is not someone that you want to be with. Now, with that being said, that does not diminish the heartbreak that you are feeling. And I think that especially the heartbreak becomes a lot more difficult because when you talk about, losing your virginity to someone, that is a very big thing. And I know for some people it's not, and for some people it is. Everyone views it differently. But especially when you experience something for the first time with someone and then that person changes their behavior or things start to shift, it's very it's a lot harder to get over because you've never experienced these types of feelings before at this level, because you experienced something with him that you've never experienced before. It's because you lost your virginity to him. It's because you had sex with him for the first time. You've never had to deal with these types of feelings before at this level because you don't have anything else to compare it to, if that makes sense. So I'm really sorry that you're going through this, and I'm really sorry that you're feeling heartbroken over it. But I want to assure you, you are dodging a bullet, and this is not the type of person that you want to be with. I know that in the beginning, it probably was great and he was really sweet and you met his parents and you're spending the night and you're basically dating without the title. But what sucks about that is that you're dating without the title. And a lot of times I think that that is what people will use, men and women sometimes, when they want the excuse to be able to do whatever they want, but string you along the way. And I think that exclusive not dating is not really a thing. I think that, the what ifs that people play and oh, I would be with you if I wanted a girlfriend, but let's just keep doing what we're doing, is really manipulative, honestly. And again, I don't think that this is someone that you would want to be with in the long term. It doesn't seem like he has the characteristics of someone who is really even ready for a long-term relationship and someone who is, deserving of being with someone like you. And I think you need to remind yourself that, even though it sucks right now and you're really heartbroken right now, I promise you, you did dodge a bullet and you're going to be able to come out of this stronger, and you're going to be able to know what to look for in the future when you look at potential partners and who you want to date moving forward. You're going to know what you want out of a relationship. You're going to know what you need out of a relationship. You're going to know like what communication you want. You're going to know your timeline of things. And I really think that this is going to make you stronger. And I would just give yourself the grace to be able to be sad about this, because it is sad no matter how you want to spin it. It's sad and it's okay to be sad. And don't let anyone try and convince you that you shouldn't be or you're overreacting. Allow yourself to sit in the sadness and give yourself, I always say, between 3 days and like 3, 4, 5 days of just like sadness, rot, grief, all the things that you have to go through, and then pick yourself back up and then start taking care of yourself back again and start having your glow up era and start, all of the things. And my guess is that he will come back. Personally, again, I know I said it, I think they always come back. My guess is he will. And I think that when he does, I don't even think you should give him the time of day. I think them always coming back is a little nice ego boost, but realistically, I don't think that you should give him the time of day when he does, because I don't think he's deserving of it. Hi, Sav. I just started a new job. A lot of coworkers like to start drama and gossip. I made it clear to my boss and to most of my coworkers from day one that I don't like drama or gossiping. I like good vibes only. The coworkers have gossiped around me and it makes me really annoyed. I was trying to help someone and one of the coworkers was trying to tell me what to do, even though I had done this task many times before. I didn't listen to her because she's not my boss. I have a feeling that some of the coworkers are going to try and be negative and start drama. How do I say in a professional way? We are grown-ass people. Let it go. It's not that big of a deal. I don't like drama or gossip, and I made that clear from day one. I am here to help people and there to be positive vibes only. Well, first of all, I think that you're taking a very mature approach. I think going into it saying, I'm not here to drama, or I'm not here to gossip, I'm not here for drama, I'm just here to do my job, good vibes only, let's keep it moving. I think that's a very mature approach. I think, unfortunately, not everyone is obviously going to have that same approach. And I think also what's important to remember is that we can only control ourselves and how we react. We cannot control other people and how they choose to operate and how they choose to, go about their day. And, if they want to start drama, if they want to talk shit, if they want to gossip, we can't control that. All we can control is how we react to it. I think that if this does, this incident of being told what to do by someone who wasn't your boss and not listening does become an incident, I would just very plainly say, like, listen, I appreciate you trying to help, but at the end of the day, I also know what I'm doing. I've done this many times before. And, yeah, I would just kind of leave it at that. I don't think it needs any more explanation than that. And I think that, again, being the bigger person, especially in a working environment, is going to do you well, and just being very straightforward. Again, you can add on to the end of that, like, I don't want any drama with anyone. I'm not here to try and start anything. I just, want to do my job and have good vibes. I've said that from the beginning. I don't really like getting involved in stuff like this, and I'm just going to continue doing my job and leaving it at that. Again, you can only control how you react. And I think that by giving them no reaction and giving them just a very straightforward, not a lot of fluff, not a lot of, emotion behind your response, if that's how you choose to go, they're not going to have anything to hold on to. What are they going to say? Oh, she made a really good point and, she had a really good response. You can only control how you react. So make sure when you are reacting that it's done in a very precise way. And I think that that is the mature way of basically saying, shut up. Like, seriously, leave me alone. Shut up. I don't want to be involved in this, is by saying, I appreciate the help. I've done this many times before. It's not my first time doing this. And, I know that some people have been talking, and I would just hope that we can all keep this respectful, because I told you guys from the beginning, I don't really like drama. I don't really like to gossip, and I'm just kind of here to do my job and keep things positive and help people. And that's just what I'm going to continue to do. What are they going to say after that? Like, seriously. And if they do, if they're that bored, let them be that bored. If they're that miserable, let them be that miserable. I would just keep pushing through and keep doing what you're doing, because I think that if people are going to talk, that's not something that you can control, and you can only control, again, what you say and how you react. And I would just keep that as a very concise and like less, to the least amount of emotion that can be brought into it as possible, because I think that that's only going to help you in the long run and going to make you, better at your job in the long run too. But I'm sorry that you're having to deal with that, because I think that, gossiping coworkers and drama, it's petty bullshit at the end of the day. And I just think that, it sucks that that's even the reality. But I think that a lot of times in those situations, I know that when I worked at the tanning salon for a couple of years, it was very much, gossip, chatty, all drama, all the stuff. And I loved working at the tanning salon, but what I'm trying to say is I get the environment that you're talking about. But yeah, I would just keep to yourself, keep pushing forward, and just focus on the important things when it comes to your job and your work, which you clearly are. So that's what I would say. But that is going to be all for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of What Would Sav Do? Again, if you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah. I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. And make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We post weekly on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. I will be back next week with you guys for a brand new episode, and I will see you there. Bye, guys.